I'm your host, Keith Parris. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. Good morning, Debo. Good morning, Jermaine.
Good morning,
Top
sir.
Flight Security.
Hey, top flight
For the world, Craig.
Hey, I'm talking about top flight,
You
Doc.
would have walked out of here, but no. So anyway,
And certain ones get escorted out.
they
Hey,
get
man.
escorted.
Listen.
Brought the car around.
Hey, listen here, man. Security, man. I got the band playing when you walk out.
I'll make sure you get out okay.
Hey, man, that's what we do over here at
Man,
WNOV.
everything
I
you
ain't
good?
never seen you do that.
Hey, man, listen here, man. Sometimes you got to do stuff out of the norm, brother. You got to make sure.
And we done had folks coming up here looking for us, man. You know where to be found. Where's security?
That was not you they were looking for.
We got a serious security threat out there. This dude is nowhere to be found.
Hey,
It
It's
was
just
not
like,
you they were looking for.
Anyway, so good morning. Let me shout out my guy, John Ashley. Happy birthday, John. I don't know if you're listening. I know you're out working, but happy birthday, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate you. Yesterday was my Aunt Barbara's birthday. Happy belated birthday, Aunt Barbara.
That's all right. Ain't Barbara.
Yeah.
You want us to sing happy birthday too?
Nah, man.
No. We had one ready, didn't we, Jermaine?
Yeah, Doc, I was ready to shoot off from the hip.
So
Let it ride.
anyway,
Thanks, Keith. Thanks for the faith.
You want to hear it? No, here it go.
Here it go. Wrote a song about it. Want to hear it? Here we go. So anyway, phone lines open 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. Y'all know we religious, but we also superstitious.
There you go. Here we go.
And so
Here you go.
Here we go. We start right at the top.
we were just
Here you
just
go.
talking about Josiah Rogers. I said that dude is jinx because every time he's scheduled to come to Milwaukee, it rained.
There's a
And
storm.
this time he came, it was the 100-year rain, right? We
Yeah.
never had rain like that. So I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to, when let Fred know down there, the good folks, like, dude, because he brought a weather event, man.
Man, he was like, "Oh, I wish that it would rain."
Rain.
Sean Hinton brought the house down, man.
Look at that.
I heard, man.
And
Man,
no
brought the
sooner than
rain
he hit
down,
his
too.
last note and walked off stage, it started raining.
Well-
Sean taking his stuff to the car in the rain, and Jemiah standing around going, well, they got to pay me again.
Well,
go outside.
well, maybe Sean played so great
in the
that
rain.
he touched the heart of the Lord, and the Lord just
The Lord was
released.
crying.
Oh, hallelujah!
We used to when
Jermaine, I'm not going to be a part of your foolishness.
when we were at when I worked, Camp Wickham, we used to do the Hopi Snake Dance, which was a dance they would do for rain.
Oh,
So I don't know if somebody was dancing for rain, but we got plenty. I'm
can't
gonna
stand
let
the
me do this
rain.
and call. I'm gonna grab you. Don't go anywhere. I'm gonna take. We knew it was gonna rain. They had been saying all day that it was gonna rain, and people were trying to time it where you had to get to. I waited in a lull in the rain to get to my class reunion. It just started raining by the time I got here to Lake WNOV, which was beginning to fill up. And so it was coming. But and I know for people who've lost stuff, this is hard to hear. When we talk about acts of God, acts of nature,
Yeah.
we have never had as much rain in one day in the history of this city like we had that day. And then it really depended on where you were, because over here, like about 6 inches of rain. But if you like out west, because what happens is as that front is moving, it's losing strength. So by the time you got here, it's about 6 inches of rain here, the east side, it was still raining. But if you were up like in Cedarburg, West Bend, and then when you see purple,
Oh, wow. Man, listen, man, I was watching it on Facebook because I was in Miami enjoying the nice sun and palm trees. And I'm watching it on the phone, and I could have swore I seen Noah come down Capitol in the ark because it was so much water out. And I'm just looking at this like, this is happening in Milwaukee? Like, for real, this is really happening in
flooding,
Milwaukee?
man. One of the real interesting weather.
Put $1 in there, Jack. Let me get that about you.
A place that has crazy weather is Nashville.
Yeah,
not only Nashville gets hit with tornadoes, they get hit with flooding because it's in a hilly area, valleys. But and I still haven't heard a report of what happened down in Pigsville in terms of the amount of rain, because that's a place that usually floods. Let me do this also. Greater is that Greater Mount Sinai? Or is it?
Yep,
Greater Mount Sinai Church of God in Christ.
Yeah.
Lincoln Creek is literally, it's not even a half a block away. Runs and back. That church has been, I won't say totally destroyed. The foundation is there, but internally it is.
I heard.
Man, that is, whoa. Now, again, my buddy who's a former claims adjuster told me that you can get around this whole whether it was flood or not. And I'm sure they probably, I'm hoping they do, that they had to do flood insurance because they're on a floodplain. Lincoln Creek is like right in back of the church.
Yeah.
So, but he said if it's a broken window and the water came in through a broken window, you might be able to make a claim. But people making claims, it's a once in a lifetime. I was telling me and my godson was talking, and it was so bad he called to check on us. Know something was up when he called to check on us.
Man, it was on the world news. It was on CNN.
So then, of
NBC
course,
News.
it ain't Friday, but let me do some early hate. All the people who, for my fan back in Milwaukee.
Right.
Oh, man. Well, you ain't here.
Yeah.
That was like the Sherman Park insurrection. People, man, the city on fire.
Yeah.
No, dog. It's just a gas station.
It's in one area.
One area, man. It's a gas station.
Yeah.
They made it sound like LA 92.
They did, because I was getting calls from all over. Man, I hear the city on fire.
Right? Oh, and I lived another one talking about flooding 17 years ago, June 2008. Remember we had all that flooding?
Yeah.
Well, in here, and I overheard this conversation yesterday. I was at the barbershop with my godson and overheard this conversation where, sister was talking about the damage they had, what they had. And then somebody said, girl, you going to get those emergency food stamps? Now, in 2008, then governor, who was governor then? Who was the governor?
Was it Tommy Thompson?
No, he was a Democrat.
Walker, was it Walker that was in office?
Before Walker. Whoever it was happened to be in Milwaukee for Juneteenth. So as he walked through Juneteenth Day, they made his speech. He said, you're eligible for emergency food stamps and disaster food stamps. The emergency disaster food stamps was adjusted based on Katrina. So that meant that you needed just a photo ID. You didn't have to verify your income, the whole piece. So he did that on Thursday. We noticed on Juneteenth, X number of people showing up at the building. We might average 1,000 people come through the building for various services, but on that day, there's all these people showing up, right?
Right.
That was a Thursday. That Friday, we had 2,000 people show up, right? Because now we're just getting the information that here's what we need to do. We need to get the applications. We had to let's get ready for this onslaught. Saturday, staff was there working at 12th and Valete. They were working overtime. People showed up, but the building was closed. On that Monday, 5,000 people, I am not lying, 5,000 people showed up and had lined up before 7 o'clock in the morning. Now we got to figure out, how we going to flow this, the whole thing. And so if you open the door, the front door, people rushed the door because they thought that they were opening. Then the building guy, Jim Tejan, goes out to kind of, was it Doyle? All right, it's Doyle. He goes out to kind of see what the crowd is, how we're going to do this, and people rush the door. Okay. It's funny how random life is. Because 12th and Valete is right on the freeway in the morning, you have the weather choppers up in the air covering traffic on the freeway. The weather choppers look down and see this mass of people around 12th and Valete, and then they're able to see the rush of people to the door, and the rest is history. So I'm getting calls literally, and I normally don't do this or get this. I got calls from friends that I knew who didn't live here going like, man, they got a riot going on. Don't you work for the welfare department? Dude, and the labor paper put in food stamp riot. So we were able to, and I hate that this dude, Donald Trump, is doing the damage he's doing to emergency services. I just so happened, one of the few people who did it, I took the FEMA emergency training, just happened to take it the week before. Thank God for that. Knew what to do, right? Knew how to stage. I mean, all these things that prepared us. So I can only imagine once the word gets out that people that, and I don't know because it was declared, but I don't know what they're doing on the federal level. I know that came up on Michelle's program. But once it's considered a disaster, you can do emergency. And because of Katrina, people lost everything. It was a minimum requirement in terms of what you need to do. And then they'll go in and do random sample after the fact to see if most people. Now, I saw people in House of Correction uniforms. So we ended up processing 21,000 applications. Racine County had worse flooding than us. They did 150. Same time, that same front then moves to Indianapolis. They do 15,000 applications for emergency and disaster food stamps. Caller, welcome to the program.
Yes, sir, Mr. Parris. Thank you for taking my call.
Brother Christopher.
Yes, sir. I'm calling because, the rain didn't get us. We were okay. I went to work, but nobody showed up for work because they were stuck in a big giant puddle of water on some street somewhere. People were driving into the water when they couldn't even see the dividing line in the pavement. And I was like, I know not to do that, but I'm not going to go that route. So I backed up. But then it went another route. But why am I calling? It's about my car. My car at the tow lot that was towed from in front of my residence. My car doesn't have a battery in it. The two front tires didn't have air in them. My car was not registered because I was not utilizing it. I was using my other car, which is registered, and they took both of them. But I had to pay for to get one car out, and I want to retrieve I worked hard to obtain these vehicles. I stood on my feet for 16, 12, 10, however many hours, overtime, in the basement, cleaning water treatment. Nobody helped me with nothing. So I'm like, well, how is it that they can just come up? I didn't have any warning. They just take my stuff, and now I'm supposed to figure out a way to get it back from them when it doesn't belong to them. And then when I tried to talk to those people, they kept giving me the runaround. I talked to the black lady named Tammy Smith, who is she's like a warrior for the DPW when it comes to your car. Please don't try to engage that woman, because that woman has no patience for black people. She probably thinks all black men are drug dealers or something like that. She probably thinks really bad things about black men, because the way that I was handled, that's the way that was the impression that I was left with. The Department of Public Works, primarily those tow people, these people take their job, which is, that's cool that you like your job and you're passionate about it, but they make it personal with anybody's automobile that they encounter. They act as if they have the authority the same as the police. These people will argue with you. They will tell you. I've seen these people go up in people's backyards to put tickets on their cars, and I'm like, that's not even in the street. Why are you in this person's yard? And I'm like, if they come outside and attack you, then what are you going to say? I'm just doing my job. It pays the bills. And the killing part of it is that they got these black dudes who ride around in this city of Milwaukee tow truck with black writing on it between the hours of, I would say 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., just grabbing people's cars on the east side and wherever black people predominate. And even the tow man told me, he said that they don't do this stuff on the south side. They do it wherever there's a more of a concentration of black people. And they use all city tow to come get your stuff. And while you're sleeping, or you might work a third shift job, and you might not, maybe you don't use your car all the time. Maybe you might have another means of transportation that you want to use, but they're going to come and take your stuff. And then they're going to talk to you very, very disrespectfully when you show up. and that's why they have a police guard in the place, because those people are very, very nasty to folks. They had a disabled man. They took his car from him. He could barely walk, even get out the door. I was just like, wow, these people have no shame as to what they will do to incapacitate you or immobilize you so that they can, make light of it or something like that. I think that there are so many black people who that are black, but they don't have the intention of good for black people. Like that man said what he said about the current president. Those are the type of people that we have to get rid of. They have to be cleaved away from us. And if they love Satan so much, let them go be with Satan. And finally, the weather that we experience, and there's going to be more of it. It's in the weather I can't think of the word. The weather, this odd weather or that we're having is divine judgment on the United States of America. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that every time that there is a natural disaster in America, God is taking their attention off of us, because that was them about to make a move on us. So every time this country suffers a natural disaster, you should thank God Allah, that he thwarted the intent of the satanic rulers of this country, who happen to be the same complexion as you. They're being used as minion or foot soldiers or whatnot, but they're helping to maintain Satan's world. So if you can tell me if there's anyone that I could speak to with regard to regaining possession of my property, that is something that I would definitely like, because I spoke to the people downtown and they're telling me to call this Tammy Smith lady, and it's pointless. There's no point in calling her because she's not listening to anything. And I was very, very polite in the way that I addressed her. I mean, I know how to speak when it comes time to speak. So just a word to the wise: be aware of your possessions and know that you're not going to get any help from any of those black people at that place. It's funny how they put black faces on white institutions to do their evil for them, and then black people be like, "Yeah, I got a job," but you got a job that executes and that sustains oppression for people who are trying to get ahead in life that you did not contribute anything to. You heard me?
All right, bro. All right. All right.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I do know when I first moved in my neighborhood, the truck was too big that we owned at that point, was too big for the garage. So we had to park, or we were parking it on the streets. I just figured in the neighborhood they don't give tickets. Wrong. Give tickets in my neighborhood because I'm more likely to pay it. So once you get 3 tickets in a month,
they can tow. If your car is not registered, it cannot be parked on the street. Right. If it's not registered, if it don't have plates on it, we got flat tires and all that other stuff, it cannot be on the street.
Yep. So I'm coming out, dude, getting ready to put it on the truck, because once it goes on the truck, there's nothing they can do.
Unless
if you can
kind of talk them out of
some of them, but like he said, once it gets up, so he said, hey, what you need to do is go get a permit.
Oh yeah.
I went over to 7th District, and it was only like the 30th of the month. So at one day, and then we started parking it. We have a little like a car path right next to the the backyard. So I started parking it there. Yeah. But yeah, man, it can happen. And I just happen to have the door open, and I'm hearing the truck out there say it's early for garbage trucks.
Yeah, that was you. They was coming to get you.
And they've taken a couple of cars off the block. So
and they can do that too. Yeah. They can leave
and call your alderman. That's what I would suggest. All right, you're listening to Community Voice. The phone lines are open, 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. When I get back, I want to talk about a meeting I had the opportunity to attend last night, and just some observations. So we'll be right back.
On WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right. Welcome back to Community Voice. I want to, something I rarely do, but I want to do this. Today is Wednesday. So let me give you Wednesday's word that comes from the word. This is taken from Judges 2:10. Judges 2:10, and I'm reading from the King James Version. It says, also all that, now let me read one that's more easily understood. Okay. Is that the Amplified? There, let me do my favorite. Okay. I'm reading from the Contemporary English Version. Again, this is Judges 2:10. It says, and while the people of Joshua's generation died, the next generation did not know the Lord or any of the things he had done for Israel. And after a while, the people of Joshua's generation died, and the next generation did not know the Lord or any of the things he had done for Israel. I was in a meeting last night, and I didn't even realize that I was interviewing the pastor of this church. Here we go. Let me pull it up because I want to honor him. Okay. And here we go. So there was an emergency call for action and there was a meeting held at the Infinite Church. And I want to get pastor's name here. I think. Yeah. Is it Ashley?
Yeah. Matter of fact, he used to be a rapper.
That's what he said.
He was known, Mr. Do It to Death was his name.
Right.
What's his name? I can't pronounce his name, but I see his face.
Let me pull it up. And so first of all, let me
Redante Ashford.
Ashford?
Yeah, Redante Ashford.
Yep, and it's beautiful Ashley, I think, his wife. So first of all, let me celebrate that he opened up his church doors to have a community conversation. He was very good friends with my guy who was Tweezy.
Yeah.
They were really good friends, and so he called. And so, now, first of all, it was packed. It was well represented. People who do a lot of the community work was there. I saw Ray Mendoza. I saw a lot of folks. Student Minister William Muhammad was one of the panelists. Pastor Ken Locke. And then there was a sister from his church, Bye Rogers. And there's another sister, I think she's with Safe and Sound. She moderated a panel. My frustration, and though I applaud the call, and I will be part of another call to action on Saturday, I don't know. I used to use this term, organize the eagles and the sparrows will follow. And this is a term that Khrushchev used about, I think that though we have this call for community action and we come together for these plenary sessions and we're able to express our frustration with the situation, I don't know if it would have been better. And I know how difficult it is because I'm just going to look at one of the communities I'm a part of, the faith community, where maybe there needs to be a meeting of leadership in our diverse faith communities behind closed doors. I don't know if there was any press there other than me. I don't know if there was any press there last night. I didn't see cameras. And because we can come together and we'll have these public things, but then we just walk away. We're able to vent. But I wonder, would it be more productive? And I'm just throwing this out and you let me know what you think. For leadership to meet privately, right? And find a space where leadership can meet privately and begin to talk about, one, what our lane is, depending on what you're doing, and two, how you then expand your outreach or your reach in terms of community. Pastor Locke talked about the work that they're doing around shelter security. I think they've purchased an apartment building where, people, young parents will have a place to go, because we know in Milwaukee, in the inner city, housing is crazy. People paying and being ripped off. They're paying far more than the value of the property. And then people walk away from the property once they've just done it to the point that they can't do anything. They're not going to do anything more. And so there is a lot of home insecurity. I think they were talking about at least 15, probably higher than that % of MPS students are dealing with a certain level of homelessness. So that's an issue. I'd said, though, and I purposely picked that particular passage of scripture because what I hear when people are calling me is the first thing, for many people, the first thing they want to start talking about, the young people. The young people. It's young people. Statistically, most of it is done by older people. You know what I'm saying? And then when I think about young people, if a young person gets a gun, usually that young person has probably gotten it from an adult.
Older, yeah.
They found it in the house. Okay. So I think that's part of it. And then, we need to understand it. And let me shout out Student Minister William Muhammad, because he said something last night that was probably lost in the mix when he talked about, but there are policies that are impacting the behavior that you see on the streets. One sister, I think she must work in the area of nutrition, was talking about what's the impact of our young folks being exposed to lead and how that lead poisoning is impacting their behavior and their ability to learn. So I'm just curious. I think it's an unfair question when people ask, where's the church? I always find that interesting because we look for someone to blame. Where's the church? A friend of mine was talking and that question was asked to him. And I said, tell the person where the church has always been. Okay. I think the other piece of it is we have an expectation of the church and talking about Black church now. Now, there are some Black churches that are community involved. They see themselves as part of the community that they're in. The oldest Black churches in the city of Milwaukee are in 53206. Right? I think St. Mark's just gets in it. Then you go to Metropolitan, you go to Canaan, you go to Calvary, you go to Tabernacle. These are the oldest Black churches in the city. But these churches now have become drive-in churches. What is a drive-in church? That means that people are traveling more than a mile to get to that church. Many of us, that older generation, remember we could walk to church. Chances are that church was in your neighborhood, and so you were able to get there unless you're the Rideouts, and they were middle class, so they had a car, so they could drive to church. But, it was, but I walked more to Metropolitan as a kid than I ever rode. Wow. Because I walked to choir rehearsal, so I don't know if it's a fair question to ask. Maybe it is a fair question. And yeah, it is a fair question. Here's why it's a fair question, because I also thought about this. It is also in our pulpits on Sunday morning where preachers are wearing out folks in the streets. We preach about them, right? We preach about them. We pray about them. Okay. All these young people, we pray about them. I think James said this, that love is an action. And if Christianity is based on love, based on the example that Jesus set, then maybe we need to recalibrate how we look at our religion. And I think that a lot of it, I know one of the great challenges that they're facing down at American Baptist in terms of the men and women who are going to prepare themselves for Christian ministry is that a lot of people, and I know I started off with this at 18, you called to preach. Okay. Preaching's only a part of it, because then there's still the pastoral part of it, the care for the folks.
Care for the people. Yeah.
Right? You know, and then, and again, let me thank Dr. Demetrius Williams for introducing this little term to me. They talked about how we're so salvic. Like, I'm so concerned about me getting to heaven. That's all that matters. I heard Donald Parson, he was preaching a Men's Day event over a few years back. And he said, you know what? We got good men who are good for nothing. Good men who are good for nothing. And what he was saying was, oh man, you don't smoke, you don't drink, you do all those things, but that's it.
Yeah.
Where is the community concern? Where is the community involvement? So let me shout out all these men, particularly who take time to act as mentors, who take time to act as coaches. Where would I be because I didn't have a dad in the home, had it not been for those men who took the time to coach me, right? To mentor me. Where would I be? But what about the other kids? Also overheard a conversation in the barbershop, and the guy was there with his son and talking about his son playing Pee Wee football. And all of the things that he put in place to make sure that his son would be successful playing Pee Wee football. I think we have to have a paradigm shift and say at the same time, because we can walk and chew gum, what is he doing in terms of his books? Right? One of the things I discovered, again, I'm not a trained pedagogic that's teaching young people. I'm not trained in that. So a lot of the stuff I do is kind of observational, anecdotal. I noticed this with Kennedy. One of the things that we set the tone for our children in terms of what's important to them based on what's important to us. Okay? So if I'm getting positive affirmation, and every human being wants positive affirmation because I'm a good football player, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to try to be the best football player ever. So the same thing when it comes to learning. If you give, especially, I want to talk about little boys. If you give little boys early on that positive affirmation where they're learning, right? They're reading, they can do math. Yesterday, Kennedy had a puzzle. She's always learning, right? She had a puzzle. Kennedy's very good at puzzles. She's very good at puzzles. She has an analytical mind. She can go in and she can figure it out. Well, this puzzle was the first time she ever did it, and she got a little frustrated. And she walked away. She started, and so I'm looking on the table and I go, Kennedy, you didn't finish the puzzle. And so then that became the challenge. I said, it's not too hard for you, is it? What did I say that for? She was back and she finished it. Because she's fascinated with Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
She is really fascinated with that. Yeah. When you see her. So, but yeah, I think that's part of it. So there's a generation. And is this the generation that has risen, that know not the Lord, nor what the Lord has done for enslaved or descendants of enslaved African people? And if this is in fact the generation, if this is that generation, whose fault is it? And I hate to use that word because we're always looking for fault. Who's responsible? That's the question. Who's responsible? Because we can sit up and the first thing we're going to go to, something happened. Those young people. And then you go to realize, no, there's a whole lot of old people out there tripping. Whole lot of them. This is going to be part of what I'm going to talk about on Sunday. We won't give away too much of that message. But no, so that I think should be the discussion. And then understand that the church is limited to what she can do. Schools are limited to what they can do. Community serving organizations are limited to what they do. So to put it on someone, it was just like back during the that last election, was that 2020, where all of a sudden the Office of Violence Prevention became a political issue, and our Republican friends would go, oh, so what about the Office of Violence Prevention? They haven't prevented any violence. Well, no. Because here's the deal, and I kind of mentioned this to Pastor. I said, the meetings are good, but the Negroes perpetrating ain't going to be at this meeting. Now, he had a great comeback last night. He said, well, we are there. That's true. But what I'm just saying, me and my buddy, we went to a debriefing after the Million Man March. They held it over at the Black Historical Society. So brothers who had gone, we sitting there debriefing, and then what's going to be the next step. And me and my buddy across the street there, and that was a pretty hot corner there for a minute, right? And so we looking left and right, and we came to the conclusion, some of these brothers out here, I know these brothers out here committing some of the crimes wasn't at the Million Man March. Okay?
Right.
And the other thing is then in instances like you preaching to the choir, the people there, they all agree. We all agree. There has to be something done. Here's the other thing, and this kind of gets us to something that Donald Trump is doing in Washington, D.C. by federalizing the D.C. Police Department, putting the National Guard on the street. Crime in Washington, D.C. is dropping. As a matter of fact, crime in D.C. is at a 30-year low. Our crime rate here in Milwaukee is dropping. But I can give the numbers, but people are not going to look at the numbers. They're going to remember the last news report they saw. That shapes many people's reality. So I'm not, and as a general rule, my nature is not to be an alarmist, right? I always try to walk to the situation, don't run into the situation. But a lot of that's what's going on. The perception is probably different than the reality. Are there crimes? Yes. So that's kind of where we are. So I'm just curious, 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. Is it an emergency? And if so, what should our response be? Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning, Keith. This is Rick calling from Germany, brother.
What's happening, brother?
I just want to say, first of all, about the weather. God is no respecter of persons. If you get caught out in it and your time is up, you can die. It doesn't matter whether you're black, white, green, or purple. The thing is to be knowledgeable enough to know when to move and when not to move. And I was at the Million Man March. I wore a yellow tracksuit in honor of the Jewish people who made it possible for me to be at the Million Man March. We have failed our young people, and I'm done, brother, man.
All right, man. Appreciate you. All right, 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. Is this that generation that has been far removed? We are 50 years removed from the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, the Open Housing Act. We've had several iterations of affirmative action, DEI. But I just wonder, are we still at the same point, or are we at a different point? And and maybe I'm more hypersensitive to what's going on around me because I understand the environment, and you see what you see. You watch the news. I used to have a habit of on Sunday mornings on the porch having a cup of coffee, and I'd read the New York Times. But you get so tired of the bad news, that you go, whoa.
I mean, Keith, to be honest with you, I really think that we are seeing the rise of a whole new way of thinking as far as when it comes to the civil rights and all of that other stuff. I think the mindset now is, I think that it's getting to the point that we are no longer marching. We are no longer talking. I think that it's gonna come down to action now, man. I think, people are really fed up. And I think that we're gonna start seeing some action, man. Because this generation mindset is most definitely different from our ancestors and the
How do you say it's different?
well, see, like how when you hear people say, and I don't know if you ever heard them say, we are not our ancestors. So that just means that we not marching, whatever, like you're not gonna call us the N-word and think it's okay, without us, bucking back at you. And I think that that's what's happening now, man, that we're seeing the whole generation of people that's like, hey, man, I've stands all I can stands and I can't stands no more.
All right, caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I agree with that, brother. It's time. Let me turn down the radio. It's time for us to take action. Because, this Donald Trump done went all the way off the chain. He doing it towards minorities and everything. I mean, what else is we supposed to do? Sit back and just take all this? It's got to be a mass demonstration of something. Here in the city, or we got to just show up in numbers and just make a major. All congregations or all ethnic groups, especially the minority groups and all the organizations and whatever, just unite as one. Yeah. And just, it's time for us to just do something about it, instead of sitting down, taking all this mess that's dumped on us.
No, you say,
say.
I don't know if there's ever been a time where it's been a we all as one.
Yeah.
I think, that you always had rivalries in terms of the leadership.
Yeah.
Who speaks for black people. I haven't heard this as much. You used to always hear this, where are black leaders? Where are the black leaders?
Yeah.
And my response would be, well, you got to follow them. You might want a black leader, but at some point you got to follow.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to, and that I'm going to incriminate myself on this. I think it's easy to sit and say we need to do something. That's easy. The hard part is doing the something. One, even trying to even determine what that something is. I get frustrated with my mom because she say, we got to do something. And I go, Mom, we got to be more specific. We got to be a little bit more targeted in terms of what we do and how we do what we do. People talk about the violence, and a lot of the violence is based on, it's not random. Yeah. We're not dealing with random shootings for the most part. We're dealing with shootings of people who have some level of relationship, right? They know the person that they're, every now and then I bump into Jermaine at a club, and something sets off, right? Yeah. But usually it's another beef.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's domestic violence.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, these are things where. So how do you? Because you can't control that. You say where the cops? Someone was talking about I drove and I didn't see a cop. Okay, I think criminals are smart enough to know don't commit the crime in front of the cop.
Sure.
I think a criminal with the lowest IQ kind of figured that because part of doing the crime is getting away with it, right?
Yeah, but nowadays, Keith, it's to the point that they don't even care. They don't even care where they do the crime, just as long as they can do the crime. They don't care who's.
They ain't doing it in front of cops.
No, some people are though.
Well, then you
the
really
idiots.
You really stuck on stupid.
I totally agree with you. Some people just like I don't care. You know, it is what it is. Though it's up, it's stuck, and I don't know why that mind frame is what it is, but they don't think about the consequences. They don't think about what's going to happen. They just think about the now, and it's unfortunate. But I have seen people just do stupid stuff right in front of the police. It's actually video right now of some of the young people downtown on Water Street. Police is right there, and they are acting a plumb fool right in front of the police. And that's because they don't care. They don't respect the police. It's just a whole different mindset.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, but the average criminal usually don't.
You right.
Caller, welcome to the program.
Hey, brother, you said it right. You said the average criminal, but there's a whole element out there that's not average. That brain have developed under medication as children, man. You know, if you're giving a kid medicine when he was a child, his brain is developing under that influence. Then when he reaches a certain age, there's no more medication. Brain is still developing under the influence of whatever they was giving him as a child. So we got a bunch of mad people. You go to the 3rd district. You go to 3rd district over there on what is that, off of Appleton or Lisbon, and there's a gas station across the street. Man, them boys selling dope, slanging, man. 2 people done got killed over there. One got killed on the corner down there by the hot dog place. Hey, man, the police don't mean what has happened here is the fear is gone from these folks. So somebody got to strike the fear of God back in them. Now, I don't know. I don't want to relinquish, you know, or give that power over to government. Okay, but something has got to give, man, because me and you out getting gas, and here come a dude with a hoodie on and a black mask, you know, and he got his hand. He might don't even got no gun, but he wants you to think that this is a mechanism of defense. Yeah, it don't hurt me, don't harm me. He really scared, so he put his hand in his front of his man. He ain't got no gun.
Yeah. What is the most violent decade in Milwaukee?
Well, you know what? You can go back and say the 90s or the late 80s.
It was the 90s.
Well, you can say that because they're going to give you that little. You mean here in this city?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, because they're going to give you the little Jeffrey Dahmer 15 count.
No.
We talking gun violence.
Yeah, bro.
You'd have to go back to like 80. Well, if you want to count some years, you'd have to go back to like 80, maybe 80, 85, maybe 80. No, 88, 89.
Milwaukee,
you know, I had some friends. They was investigated on 21 murder charges as well.
Yeah. But by the 90s, it was everywhere. DC was the murder capital in the 90s. Here's what I'm saying. Yeah. This is not the most violent period we've ever had in our community. We've had more
this
violent.
Is the most violent, Keith.
No, it is not. It is not. Statistically, statistically, it is not.
We don't want to hear statistically because everybody fudging the numbers. Everybody got a gun.
Now, wait. Now,
hey, man, everybody got a gun. In the 90s and the 80s, you kept your little gun in the house, man. Everybody got one on his side now. They selling dope with guns on the side, protecting the drug business, which I hope they get the enhancement on.
That is true, Meech. That is true of what you're saying because back then, CCW and carrying and concealed cats wasn't having that, so they was still carrying it, but it was hidden. It was in the house. It was hidden in your stash spots in your car.
Drug dealers weren't registering guns.
Well, no.
They weren't trying to get permits to carry guns.
That's true.
brother. We was not numb after this George Floyd thing. Before George Floyd, we were becoming surely, but slowly numb to violence and murder. Listen, man, a boy you can go find a dead body in the alley right now. Everybody gonna crowd around that body with that camera, man. And back in the day, we gonna get away from that, man. Don't go back there. You gonna mess up, so you might get accused. Now they gonna go get the camera.
That is true.
I'm saying that people were more apt because we didn't have video phones.
Yeah. But people was running away from situations because you would see a situation,
see a whole lot
and be like, "Oh man, I'm not going."
You see a whole lot of people running into situations too.
Yeah,
there was a mass shooting.
Hip hop you got left.
I don't know if you're from this neighborhood. There was a mass shooting at our Avenue playground.
Yeah, sure was.
And people were running to see the fight, and dude opened up.
Yeah.
I was in DC when that happened.
This happened, but now it's more. They doing it more now. Instead of me and you was taught, you hear gunshots, you run away from.
Yeah.
Now you know what they do. Dog, they shooting on 26. Let's go over there. Let's see who got
the reason why you and I run from it because we old. We know better.
No,
we know a kid. That is true. That is true. You know, your old butt shouldn't be. My old butt shouldn't be running over to see it. We should be going the other way because we know bullets kill.
And you should know that.
We old because we got sense.
No, but he was just saying
young people got sense too.
But Meech, what he's saying is we know better because we've been through it. So we know that if you hear bullets going off, don't run to the bullets because it's a great chance that you can get hit. It's a lot of young people.
They know that.
But it's a lot of young people, bro. They doing it now on Facebook. They putting it on Facebook, meetup spots so we can fight. And you got 30 or 40 young people that's meeting up so they can fight, knowing hold on. Whoa, knowing that it's a great possibility that something can pop off and somebody can get shot. I got a friend right now, and I'm not going to mention her name on the air, but her daughter went to one of those events that all of these meetups, you got 30 or 40 people meeting up at the park. Something happened. She ended up getting hit, and she lost her daughter. Her daughter died.
I think I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that incident right up there at the main park.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that right there is a prime example of you got these people, they get on Facebook and they conjure up and they meet and they run to this to the violence. They run to the situation compared to us that know better, that we run away from the situation.
But there are some young folk that know better too right now.
Yeah,
they know I'm not going over there, man.
Yeah.
Everybody ain't. See, listen, this is a small
But they've been taught right, though, Meech. They are being taught from the older people that know better. The young people just not coming out and saying, I'm not going there for nothing. They got somebody over them that's teaching them.
And let me say, we have a different sense of mortality than a 20-year-old.
Exactly, yeah.
I agree. But listen, 3 weeks ago, they were shooting down on Water Street. The police was running, okay? They were trying to get out the way themselves. I don't know if they were
trying to. But they were shooting right in front of the police, though, Meech.
That's right. This is why I called in, is because he know good and well that these people done went crazy.
Yeah.
And he don't want to say it. I don't know why.
You're listening to Community Voice. Thanks, Meech. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
AURN News.
I'm Jamie Jackson. Tariffs under President Donald Trump are taking a steady toll on American wallets. A new OmniSend survey finds they're costing the average household about $47 a month, adding up to more than $12 billion in extra spending this year alone. Shoppers say they're feeling it most on Amazon, Temu, Walmart, and Shein. 1 in 7 households report spending $100 or more each month because of the tariffs. The survey also shows the trade war is changing shopping habits. Nearly 70% of people say they're steering away from Chinese online retailers. And while 43% say they'd pay more for products that are made right here in the USA, almost half believe that the tariffs just aren't worth the cost and the money coming out of their wallets. For AURN News, I'm Jamie Jackson.
Here's your updated forecast. We'll see sunny skies here for today, high around 80 degrees. Winds out of the northwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, mostly clear, low near 65. By Thursday, sunshine, high of 78 degrees. Friday, plenty of blue skies and sun, high around 84. Saturday, we'll have a slight chance for showers and thunderstorms, blend of clouds and
Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice. Let me do this correction. The early 90s in Milwaukee experienced a record high 168 homicides in 1991. But in 2020, which was COVID, and after COVID, Milwaukee broke a homicide record with 214 in 2022. And again, a lot of that is COVID. There was going to be I know because Keon talked about it, saw a significant decline in gun violence, in particular in homicides. And then COVID happened, which is really amazing to me because we were on lockdown.
Yeah.
And you would figure that. But then certain level of police enforcement was not also done during COVID, right?
Yeah.
Because one thing was to make arrests, for things that normally you go down to lock up for. Now you're putting people in that jail environment where you could have spread of disease. So that was part of it. Remember, you didn't have to register your car.
Yeah.
They wasn't pulling people over for, minor infractions. But the whole homicide thing, so it did spike. Part of that is probably directly related to COVID.
So wasn't a lot of that too, a lot of domestic violence situations?
Yeah.
It was a lot of DV situations.
Yeah. So, yes, I just, before George wear me out, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. and we can get to this is the worst ever. Part of our reaction to the gun violence in the 90s nationwide got us the crime bill that people are complaining about even to this day. So I think how we talk about a situation becomes important because we can give certain people the fodder that they need to be even more oppressive in terms of policing. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Hey, what's up, my brother?
What's happening, brother?
Hey, Keith, guess what I seen yesterday?
Who that?
Everybody I looked at.
Good. Eyes are still working. You might want to check some other body parts, but the eyes are still working.
I got a quick one for you, Jim.
All right.
This one guy, man, on Facebook, a young dude, he was talking about things you don't do in Milwaukee. And one thing he said, keep your gun. Young boy, he laughing about keeping your gun on you.
Yeah.
He said, don't go down to Brady Street by yourself. If you're a female, if you've been on Facebook arguing, you're going to get jumped.
Yeah.
And then he said, no, young kids don't stare at anybody because that's a fight too when you staring at people.
Yeah.
But dude, they laughing like it's a joke to just get shot, man.
It is a joke now, bro.
So funny, man.
It is.
We was scared of guns, man.
Yeah.
We was scared of guns.
Yeah, bro. It is a joke now to them. They laugh, man. It's a video now, and I showed Keith and them and a couple of people here at the station. It's a video of a young man saying he don't come down on Water Street to party and have fun. He come down for straight BS.
Yeah, they think it's a joke,
man. So they laughing in the video, and then one of his guys say to him, "You ain't gonna blow that. You ain't gonna blow that," and that just means you ain't gonna shoot off your gun. And
wow.
they laughing in the background, and the camera pan away, and then you hear the shots, pop, 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 and they laughing and people running.
But you know what? How do you get back to the north side from downtown? The police must don't care.
Well,
that's a long drive.
Well, that's why they having meetings now, man, because they trying to figure out a way to stop these young folks from coming down to that district, which is going to mess up all of the money.
Don't you think that part of it is, and here's forbidden fruit, right? The attraction of forbidden fruit. The fact that they know that there could be drama, that's what attracts them.
Yeah.
You know, and until there's a new spot discovered, that's going to be the spot. You know, I mean, that is, it used to be the malls.
Yeah.
Remember the malls? Young people hang out at the malls. I mean, you know, and then you're going to do things. And then, look, there are people out there who really want attention. Remember I talked about this whole affirmation piece, how important it is for human beings. And for some folks, negative attention is still attention. And then certain things that we value in terms of masculinity and what manhood looks like. But then it also seems to be a situation where femininity, because you see a lot of these fights and it's girls.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, something I knew girls fought back in the day, but, you know, you see more and more girls. Now, part of that is just how women are becoming more and more empowered in this society. So behavior that we used to, you know, ascribe to males is now also behavior that's exhibited by females. Yeah. You know, so what does that look like? I just don't want us to get to the point where the first go-to is we want to blame young folks when the reality is that a lot of this violence, and I did look and say that, you know, that age group of about 17 to 24 is where you're going to see the most gun violence, 17 to 24. I think it's in the book Freakonomics, where they talk about crime is based on the number of young people you have in society. You have a large number of young people, you're going to see a spike in crime. And then there are other things like economic variables, you know, things like that, where you will see, look, real talk. When we was coming along, weed dealers didn't have guns, right? Now, you dealt coke and heroin, you had a gun, but weed dealers didn't have guns.
Nickel bags of weed.
Nickel bag, right. Now, you know, when people are sticking up dope houses, you know, it's for weed. And so now weed dealers have armed themselves because, and here's the thing about how the drug trade, me and Keon used to go back and forth on this. Yo, they saw it on TV. there are always some Negroes who see something on TV, because I know we went and saw the Mac, and how many of us went out and saw Superfly and wanted to be the Mac and wanted to be Superfly.
Wait. But that is true, because I do remember when the Scarface movie came out, everybody that flocked to the movie to watch that, to watch Boys in the Hood, to watch Paid in Full, to watch all of this stuff that they see on TV and on the movie screens, and then they go right out and they implement.
But why do drug dealers sell drugs? To make money.
Yeah, but when you see on the screen how much money these guys are making in the dope game, you see on the screens, though, you see all of this stuff.
Hey, how are you?
Let me say one more thing before I let y'all go. I got a buddy who got into some trouble last month, and he was in jail for a couple of days. He said, man, them 15, 16-year-old boys who had murder raps want to watch cartoons. Them kids don't have a clue what they finna go through. They want the cartoons on, and you got a murder rap.
You know why? But hold on, bro. Because they're children. They're kids.
They're children, exactly.
You know, and so we keep thinking, wanting them to process information. Well, we talked about this last week, how your frontal lobe, that part of your brain where decision making and all that is not fully formed until you're 25. So we're expecting a 17-year-old, and most 17-year-olds ain't tripping. But when a 17-year-old does trip, we need to understand that that's a 17-year-old thinking like a 17-year-old, not a 37-year-old or 47-year-old.
He said he seen the paperwork to one of the kids, and he was like, man, what does this mean? And he said, I don't know. But he looked at that little boy and he was about to cry. He said, dude, you ain't never get out of jail.
Right.
That's what he said to himself.
And somebody told me when they said life and the judge gives you 40 years, you only live 17. You don't have an appreciation of 40 years. If you 40, you do. Caller, welcome to the program.
What's up, Keith? What's up, fellas?
What up, George?
I don't even know where to start this conversation. Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir.
I don't even know where to start this conversation, because I think the blame can be spread around to all of us. And I know this is cliche, and we say it all the time, but everything starts at home. Everything. What does the Bible say? Talk to them what? Speak to them what? In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Speak to them while they're on the road. Why? Why does the Lord say that, Keith?
Hello?
Keith?
Well, I'm assuming because the message needs to be constantly reinforced. So let me ask you this question, though. Are we assuming that we have people who are parents who are equipped to even parent?
Okay, so that's that's my next thing. Yes, the church is a little bit responsible, a little bit, because I'm kind of like you. I do kind of get upset when people, what is the church doing? The thought I would put on the church is that, well, let me take a step back. Did Jesus go to the people, or did the people come to Jesus?
Jesus went to the people.
Both.
Well, yeah, both too.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
Keep both. Both of you are right.
Yeah.
It's both.
Yeah.
But if Jesus would have stayed in the building, how many people would have came to Jesus?
That's true. That's true.
And so where I fought us at Keith, us as ministers and religious people, is that we don't take it out. Now, me for one, and I heard you bring it up, Keith. You know, we used to have the church on 24th and Keith. Some internal things happened. We left the building. So we're over on the park now, because our kind of is so small now. On a good day, maybe 30 people. And a lot of us, we go outside of that building and we go into the park and we go into the neighborhoods, kind of like the Jehovah's Witness do, to try and talk to people about Christ, to try and bring people, come and visit us. People ain't interested. I mean, we get a few visitors every now and then. People ain't interested. They out walking their dog, swimming in the park and all that. And so one of the things that has gotten away, when you say, is this the lost generation? I want to say yes. They don't have the foundation that we have.
Who's responsible?
That's what I'm getting back to.
Yeah.
It starts at home.
Yeah.
Because you was made to go to church, wasn't you?
Yeah.
You didn't have no choice in it, did you?
Yeah.
You didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice. Now, what I noticed with you and some of your other callers, and I'm with my brother Keith, he stayed. He didn't really deviate from the church.
Yeah.
When I got a certain age, Keith, the wild was calling me.
Yeah.
And I went through it. So when you said Superfly, the Mac, and all that, me.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, that's what I want to be now.
Yeah. It's a learned behavior.
But what saved me, what brought me back, Keith, is I had that foundation.
You had that seed planted.
So too many of our youth, not all of them, but too many of our youth don't have that foundation.
Okay. And I'm glad you brought that up. So if they don't have that frame of reference, you speak in Greek.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if
you
and I had a frame of reference, so
yeah,
if I'm at church and the minister starts speaking scripture because of the catechism that I received as a kid, I could recognize I have a frame of reference. It becomes part of our language because I know the language. If I've never been exposed to the language, but I'm talking to folks as if they have been exposed to the language, you talking to the wall.
But what scripture did you open up this conversation with?
That once Joshua's generation had died, there arose a generation who knew not the Lord nor his benefits for Israel.
So it's pointing to that. I sent you something, and I don't know for sure because I can't say because I don't see you when I send you stuff. But please, I just sent you something by Tony Evans. Take the time to look at it.
All right.
When I send you that stuff, Keith, with these kids, young people roaming the streets at night, breaking in the cars, I struggled if I was going to say this on the radio today.
But George,
I was taking Brenda to a dentist appointment yesterday. So as we're walking out the house, a gray Kia Soul pulls up in front of us. Okay. 8 young black youth get out the car. And they look like they were like 8 years old to about 16. I took a picture of the plate because they zoomed off. Called the police. I think this is a stolen car. Yes, it's a stolen car. They transferred me about 3 or 4 times. When I looked at my Ring doorbell, as I'm sitting in the dentist office, they must have came back and get the car. So I'm like, okay, they didn't get over there fast enough. Guess what? When I come home, they're black on the block again. So I call the police again. What bothered my soul, Steve, is the police were trying to talk slick to me, one of the young ladies on the phone. And I'm like, they're about to take off again. I'm going to follow them. No, don't follow them. Don't follow them. I said, I'm going to follow them. So as I go around the block, they pull off on the street. And I didn't want to go down the street because then I figured they're going to know I'm right behind them. Okay, this is this red car because they looked at me at first. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that we better buckle up because the Bible even talks, well, I know you kind of, well, this has always been going on, but times are getting back worse. And so what are we going to do?
Times get worse, times get better. That's just time. I love
Ecclesiastes. With this guy we got in office right now, Keith, and the way that the politics is going with these Republicans and these MAGAs, it's going to only get worse.
Right. But then we also had a time when we had Barack Obama as president, and that was good or bad. Joe Biden, that was good or bad. Donald Trump, bad. So I mean, but that's kind of life. Life is that way.
Horse keeping. I want to say one more thing and then I'm gonna hang up and let somebody else go on, because this ain't nothing new. Like you always keep. What does the Bible say? Ain't nothing new under the sun.
Thank you, Solomon.
The Israelites, and we can go back to the Israelites who had that presence. And how many times did they go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth?
Can we ascribe that just to being humans?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But and that's why I said I kind of struggled with this conversation today as far as what I wanted to say, because I didn't want to get lost is what I was saying. But it all starts at home. And we got to figure out a way, because this is what really bothered me. And I'm going to say one more thing, if you don't mind, which kind of discouraged me. I've been to 3 or 4 meetings. Keon invited me to one. And I'm hyped up. I come home, I'm all excited. We're going to get into the neighborhoods, this, that, and the other. I never got a call after that. So I'm thinking, like, is these dudes just in it for the money? So they could say, okay, this is what I did. So now I can send my stuff into the community so I can get my 100,000 or 20,000 or 50,000, whatever I'm getting. So are they really serious, Keith?
I think they are. I think
because I never got a phone call.
Yeah, I think that
remember
I told you
like
that's why you organized the Eagles.
Yeah.
And
Keith, let me tell you something. It was a lot of prominent dudes in that meeting too.
Look, there was a lot of prominent people there last night. The point is, if you want a strategy, that means we have to sit down and we have to do that from the glare. Because look, the microphone is cracked, and we're looking for responses sometimes from the audience, and that's great. But when you actually sit down, the Montgomery bus boycott was very well organized. Right, they had people, once the group decided we're going to do something, they put together a committee of people to say, here's what we're going to do. Good, bad. They had, for the most part, it worked. They had things that they had to respond to. There were things they didn't anticipate, and then they had to adjust on the run. But, if we're just doing it in this big group, it's like if you're doing a document and you got, all these people trying to wordsmith it. Well, you get nothing done because everybody got a thought, everybody got an opinion. So I think in order to be able to do that and then build the infrastructure, that George will get a phone call saying, here's our next move. I don't know if you remember doing George Floyd, I asked the question, was this a moment or was it a movement? And we get into the moment, the emotion of the moment, but then another moment comes and now it's like, so now what? So I think.
Can I say one more thing, Keith?
Yes, sir.
I've been saying this for over 30 years on the radio. And a young lady brought this out about, I don't care what denomination your church is, why our churches can't organize. And I brought this up. Pastor McVicker was on your radio station. And I've been saying this for years. Churches collect money. Some churches collect more money than other churches. Why can't these churches get together? And I even brought this up to my pastor. Why can't these churches get together in a council? Every 3 months, every 4 months, take your tithes and offerings.
Who's going to lead it?
That's what I'm saying. And that's the issue, Keith.
Yeah.
Or you could get a round table. Can I come back on? Because I think this is very important, Keith.
Oh, yeah. I got somebody holding, though, too, and then I get yelled at. So
I
know. Thank you for that key moment. So
bubbles.
Because I just want to put this out there, because this is something the young lady hit on last week, and I'm gonna put this on and I'm gonna get off. Please.
Go ahead, Doc.
But you know what you can also do, because you said you start watching on YouTube.
Is he still there?
Yeah,
Hello?
I'm still here.
Yeah, you can go and put it in the chat in YouTube, and then we'll read it.
That don't do no good, because
no, I mean,
just like I send you text, you ignore them.
Hey, Debo.
So I'll tell you what, I'll call back.
Okay, all right, man. You could just put it on YouTube. Debo monitors. You're listening to Community Voice. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back.
WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back. And caller, right before I get to you, I know Michelle asked me, was I going to circle around? I did mention Monday, Shadir Sanders, because I actually taped the game to watch him playing. Okay. He threw for 138 yards.
He looked good.
Had 2 TDs.
He looked good, except for when he got sacked on that 4th down play.
Right. Now, here's my question. Who was playing? Right?
Yeah.
Because was Carolina playing their starters?
On that particular drive?
Was Cleveland playing their starting line? So there's some factors in preseason games. There's some dudes, they wear the preseason out.
Yeah.
All right. But when the real players,
you won't see them on the
because so we'll see. And this is what I can say. I watched every televised game that Shadir Sanders played at Jackson State.
Yeah.
I watched every televised game he played with in Colorado. Yeah. If you're a football fan and you watched, you knew that like any quarterback, he had some weaknesses.
Yeah.
One of the things was he held the ball too long.
Yeah.
You know, there was questions about his downfield accuracy, not the strength of his arm,
right,
but the accuracy of his downfield throws.
Right.
Those intermediate throws, and if he's in a West Coast offense, he can flourish, right? But he got to get that ball out of his hands quicker.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that, and everybody goes back to Dan Marino and Dan Marino picking 27th by Miami.
Yeah.
The thing that distinguished Dan Marino, and I'll give you somebody else because I heard him mention Warren Moon. Quick release.
Yeah.
Quick release.
As soon as you pat that ball,
boom,
it takes away.
Boom. Aaron Rodgers, quick release, even though he hold on the ball because he take a sack before he throw an interception. That's just his mindset. But no, how quickly you get that ball. Because you're talking pros now. When Shadir Sanders played, he played in the Big 12. The Big 12 is not the SEC. The Big 12 is not the Big 10. I'm talking about the level of talent. Watch Alabama. If you want to see who's going to play on Sunday, watch Alabama.
Yeah.
Watch Florida.
Watch
right?
Auburn.
Watch Auburn. Watch
Ohio
Texas.
State, yeah.
These dudes going to play on, and you got dudes on the bench who's going to play on Sunday.
Yeah.
That, and I was talking to my uncle last night when I was a kid. My uncle was a big Oklahoma fan. He loved Oklahoma football. And irony did, he now lives in Oklahoma City, right?
Yeah.
But he loved Oklahoma football. But back in the day, it was Oklahoma, it was Nebraska, it was Michigan, it was Ohio State.
Yeah.
And then we began to see the shift to the South when black players were able to play in the South.
Yeah.
So dudes could stay in Georgia, dudes could stay in Alabama, they could stay in Texas, right?
Yeah.
Bubba Smith is from Texas. He had to play at Michigan State. Here he is, a Hall of Famer, I think, or should be, and he couldn't play in the South. That was during the 60s. So you had dudes coming up, Penn State. So I'm just saying, when you looked at the level of talent that he played against, when you look at that offensive line that they had recruited for him, it wasn't the best offensive line because Shadir Sanders, who never wanted to be known as a running quarterback, he was running for his life, right? Because that line couldn't block. So we'll see with the pros. I did watch it. I did tape the game, kind of watch. I did see. Now, that first touchdown throw, that was a beautiful throw. That was on the money, but that was less than 10 yards. So we'll see. And here's the other piece of it. It's up to him to take advantage of the opportunity. Those other quarterbacks are hurt. Handle your business. Caller, welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm kind of shocked. I'm surprised that Brother Meach and George did not put this out here, and I'm going to speak from my heart. It is not the church responsibility to raise somebody uncontrollable nigger babies. Let's keep it 100. I ain't heard nobody say spare the rod, spoil the child. The church does not give first, last names, nor DNA. Every child has a guardian till they are 18, okay? So I don't understand why everybody like, oh, I don't know what we're going to do, And I'm just like kind of confused, okay? Now, when you do something wrong, you go talk to the mama and father. I guess everybody got selective memory up in this piece. I'm like, just like kind of confused here. It is your mammy and your pappy's job. And if he ain't in the house, find him and give him a ticket to raise your children.
Yeah. But Al, here's the other piece of it. And I asked George this question. It depends. And I hate to talk about this as random, but it really is. It really depends on the home that you have the fortune or misfortune to be born into, right? Because we're assuming that everybody was raised like we were raised. No.
You know what?
Everybody wasn't born in the same circumstances that we were born into.
You know what? You absolutely right. But if you put your hand on one of them crumb snatchers, and keep in mind, some of the daddies is in the house. You don't get a voucher today. They at your door with a pistol, or somebody walking down the street with some 2-inch hips with this butcher knife. So give them a $2,000 ticket.
But
give them a $2,000 ticket. And if daddy ain't around, hey, use Google, find him and give him a ticket.
But here's what I think, and this was the word that came to mind. Here's the big 4-letter word that came to mind: hope. How many hopeless? Well, hold on, Al. How many hopeless people do we have? And when they have no hope, they could care less. And the worst thing that a human being can do is when they stop caring. Because when a human being stops caring and they don't give a F, the world is going to change. And there are people out there. So if I'm representing the church, I got to represent hope. And I got to show that young person that you have hope. And then I got to help them understand that you have potential. But I never forget a preacher buddy of mine had gone to the installation of my nephew into a church. He talked about, because I'm a Baptist, so you're supposed to go, if you're living someplace else, you go on to watch care, right? So he had joined this church. He was a student at American Baptist College. He said to me, Keith, he said, this Negro in a half an hour could destroy what I learned in a week. Here's the point I'm making, that a lot of times it's the environment. It's an environment that says that it's all right not to do better. It's the environment that normalizes pathology, where we say this is perfectly normal behavior.
And it's an environment that's probably paying some of their daddies and their mama bills as well. So we can't sit here and make excuses like some of y'all grandmamas used to say. Your FUC, you can say the last word, it's not my GD responsibility. Okay? You already have people in the neighborhoods that said, if one of them little nigglets come on my property, it's going to be a problem.
But what happens when I'm destroying? This is what I said earlier. We can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That young person is only, like when you left your parents' house, you represented your parents' house. That's that my mama would say, do not get out and embarrass me. Now, but if you're not getting that because it's all right to be embarrassing, and we need to understand that I remember someone telling me it changed my life. It became part of my theology. Everybody ain't me. And what I mean by everybody ain't me is everybody has not necessarily either enjoyed or endured what I had to endure in my relationships or in my home, in my upbringing. My mama had hope, and she put hope in her children. And so it was always about that. But do you know that there are people there? The thing about Precious, and I love that movie. I love that movie. Should have read the book. I love the movie. Her mama gave up hope. So when her mama was sitting there hopeless, guess what's going to happen with her daughter? It's going to trickle down. Hopeless. And then pathological behavior, her mama normalized. It happened to me.
And you know what? Okay, and you know what? And her mama should have had a $5,000 ticket. Because you know what's going to happen?
To replace that TV?
And you know what's going to happen? When they get 30 or 40 years old, they're going to find Christ and say, I didn't got saved. And we all know Christ doesn't talk back.
But that's a good thing. But part of that is just age. We used to sing this song in church, the places I go, I don't go no more. Your ass is old. You don't need to be in those places anymore.
Well,
so if you got your 70-year-old butt up in an environment with 20-year-olds, come on, man, really?
All I'm going to say is I'm going to keep living my life. I'm not going to be scared. If I catch you on my property, boo-hoo for you, like I said. If you want to steal, go steal from that white man. I feel if you can steal kids, they can nail your hand to the tree, and your mama can come get you down. I don't care, but what I'm not going to do is give excuses for grown people. Bull sugar, honey, iced tea. You can lay there and screw all night and say, "Oh, it feels so good," and send Bible verses where you can raise them little nigga children you got. And that's all I'm gonna say, because it is not your or mine. FUC, and you can add the last letter. Have a good day. Bye bye. And they still not coming to church. They probably steal your hubcaps and then try to whoop you with them. Have a good day. Bye bye.
When that song feels so good, that's a nice little step or something. Call him up to the program.
My tummy.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, brother, I had to dial you back
because no, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I did, because you talked about George Floyd being just a moment.
No, I asked the question.
Okay.
I wasn't emphatic. It seems like it was just a moment based on everything we're seeing now. But okay.
No, what we're seeing now shows you that it's still a movement. See, the everything that we're seeing right now, from the mask, from the invading, of doing whatever we're doing, man. A lot of these kids were 5 years old, 7 years old when this took place, because this has been almost 5 years ago, 6 years ago, but 5 years. So what we're looking at is the very root that it is a movement, but not the movement in that we would look at it. Then I heard a brother talking about, and I know you're finna fight me on this, most of the children that are being arrested and being taunted after belongs to a foster care system or maybe some adoption or some St. Charles and Brooklyn, because we have no place for these people, these young people right now, man. So we give them a bracelet.
Why are they in foster care in the first place?
Because of the situation and circumstances.
Their families.
But hold on. They won't even give them back to the immediate family right away, man.
Well, but if the reason that I had to get them was because what was going on in the home and the situation in the home has not changed, then of course, I mean, we have a responsibility as much as we can to protect children. That is our societal responsibility. But, you know, if you're saying the kids in foster care, that means that there was something going on with the adults that had to put them in foster care.
Some of them have been in foster care since they was 7 months.
Because of struggles of their parents.
Listen, brother, that's fine, but the system has raised them. So who's responsible at that point? We cannot.
The system will have to assume a certain level of responsibility, but the system had to assume the responsibility because the parents weren't responsible.
They're doing a lousy job of it.
Well, that's the problem, because when you look at a priority, you know, that is not a priority for many people in society. You know, why do we have to pay for it? Well, I say we have a societal responsibility. I hear everybody talking about appropriate, you know, we need to have kids, and we don't need to have kids we can't take care of.
Brother, if a kid is not being beat or abused sexually or being beat, I think they're better off with that.
But if I'm sitting there getting all the verbal abuse, if I'm sitting there being witness to that adult behavior that I should not be exposed to, they don't have to hit me. They're doing enough damage just based on that.
I've listened to your testimonial, how your moms used to get at you. Okay, so
and real talk, you should have got at me more.
Right. So what are we talking about? Verbal abuse. That's some weak stuff, man.
I'm not going to say my mama verbally abused me, though it felt that way.
Hey, but if we're going to be honest, and I just think that this is the honest to God truth. The reason why these kids are doing what they are doing is because, one, you can't hold them accountable at home anymore because the law has taken that out of the parents. No, wait. The law has, no, seriously, the law has taken that away from parents, because if you try to chastise your child, whatever the case is, I mean, if you hit them with a backhand, the
law says that you can physically
discipline as long as you don't leave a mark.
You can, right? If you left a mark, that means you've done some damage.
But listen. I would rather me leave a mark on my child and my child live to see another day, and my child get it together down the line, Then for my child to leave a mark out here in the world and lose their life, go to prison for the rest of their life.
I think we're
listen, I want to say this right here.
We're overestimating the power of corporal punishment.
No,
I'm one of these people believe that that's a remnant from enslavement.
Bro,
hold on, Jay. The prison.
Hey man, they whoop their own kids. What are you talking about? The prison, enslavement, man. They whoop their own kids.
And that probably wasn't a great way of parenting. The prisons is filled with people who got whoopings.
And the prison is empty of people that got whoopings.
What?
But listen, the Bible says this right here. I got to get off the Bible here.
So then there's no real magic. It wasn't the whoopings that I got from my mama. It was the expectations that my mama had for my life. It was the things, the environments that my mama put me in where I could be more successful with my life. And of course, I caught one or two. All right, I caught one or two.
Yeah, but it taught you not to do it no more.
No, it didn't. Okay, I caught one or two. No, it did not. Not a deterrent. But see, this is how I operated as a criminal. I never got beat for the same thing twice.
Well, yeah, because it taught you not to do it again.
Yeah,
well,
that or either you got better at what you did.
Exactly.
There you go. That's not always some people go like, that's the cost of doing business. I'm going to take this extension cord. That's the cost of doing business. All right, Beach, I gotta go, man.
Okay, but I want to say this right quick. The Bible says that every man was doing right with his own sight because there was no king in the land, and that's what we're missing right now. There's no king in the land. King Jesus.
That's all over. That ain't just young people. All right, man. And they're supposed to be selfish and self-centered. You know, they're young. Kids are mercenary. I was. It's about me. I'm the most important person. Part of adulthood says I have a responsibility not just to myself, but I have a responsibility to the community, the neighborhood, the society that I live in. Let me thank Debo. Let me thank Jermaine. Callers, I thank you, man. Good program. Good Lord willing, Creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this place in peace.